Hey, it's Carol here, and welcome to another tutorial in the Automotive Unreal Engine series. This time we're diving into Gaea 2.0, and I will show you how to generate simple but beautiful and procedurally generated terrains. This is the tool NASA uses to design planet visualizations. The tool Remedy Entertainment used to create the entire Cauldron Lake for Alan Wake 2. Kojima Productions used it for Death Stranding 2. So as you can see, we're not talking about some indie tool for hobbyists, we're talking about an industry standard. You can find the program at quadspinner.com. There's a totally free version you can use, but the export is limited to 1K, perfect for learning and seeing if the tool fits you. There's also an indie version for 99 bucks. And the best part? These are perpetual licenses. No subscriptions eating up my budget every month. like Netflix, which I don't have time to watch anyway. The system is node-based. You can change any decision at any moment. Alright, we've talked enough. Should we actually make this terrain? Start up Gaea and make a new project. You see a black viewport and an empty graph in front of you. We start with a primitive. In my case, I'm using the ridge node. First, you need a mass to work with. On the right side, you have parameters. The first parameter we're interested in is seed. This is a random generator. I was looking for something with interesting collapsed terrain. Then let's add some erosion. Whether you use the wizard or erode directly, your call. Experiment with what fits better. Remember, you can change your mind at any moment, so don't overthink it. Right now we're laying the foundation. Next, we can simultaneously add something irregular, like rock noise. Once you're done playing around, connect these two terrains. The combine node works best for this. In this case, the screen option worked for me with ratio at 1. Finally, you can always add a bit more erosion. Short duration, slightly higher scale and bigger bed load. Definitely. Something that'll just gently smooth out the terrain. The default node settings are already pretty good. Gaea is tuned to give sensible results without tedious parameter tweaking, but if you need to dive deeper, the scene is yours. Alright, that first terrain went a bit too fast. Let's make another one. This time I'll show you a slightly more complex workflow. We'll use the canyon node. In this case, I'll set it up to have a fairly deep and a relatively regular depression. We'll also reduce valley to get the right effect. We don't want the Grand Canyon, but we also don't want a drainage ditch. Next, let's add ridge in parallel. No complications. Just a wide scale because I'm not interested in huge details right now. On the other hand, remember, we're working non-destructively. Now let's connect these two nodes. And again, in this case, screen at 100% works for me, but you can try something else, whatever fits your vibe. On the other hand, the whole thing is a bit too regular. Let's add something to diversify this terrain. Let's add a mountain. Why not? I want something big and tall. Let's also set a preset after erosion and keep going. Let's move it a bit to the corner. The transform node is perfect for this. Unfortunately, we have these damn cutoffs that ruin the effect. It looks like someone copy-pasted the mountain in MS Paint. Sure, we could use the erode node, tell it to work only at a specific height, but why engage our hardware that much when there are simpler tools? Let's add a node called edge. In this case, the default options are more than enough. And what? We have a mountain that beautifully blended into the ground level. You can't see the seams. So what now? We made a great crater, we made a cool mountain. Let's connect them. Combine again, but this time let's add the shaper option and set it to some negative value. This will smooth out the terrain a bit. Next, let's add clamp and raise the lower values a bit. Don't forget to ground all of this. Because the floating mountain is a cool concept for sci-fi, but not for automotive visualization. Unless you're shooting for Cybertruck on Mars, but that's a different tutorial. And finally, let's add the erosion node. Let it run a bit longer and increase the bed load. Those are the soft flat terrains where everything slides down. And what? Now we have a nice slightly mountainous terrain, and what used to be a canyon can now be used as a place to lay out a road. perfect for automotive shots, a natural road created by nature, like Stelvio Pass, but you designed it yourself. When the terrain shape is ready, it's worth coloring it to preview how it'll look. So in the Colorize tab, let's drop in a set map and set some presets right away. Gaea has a ton of color presets from real satellite data. Just click and you get authentic colors without hours of painting in Photoshop. The only problem is that it textures our terrain from top to bottom. It didn't calculate anything. Fortunately, there's also the texturizer node. Let's add it before setmap. Whoa, what a difference! It analyzes our terrain and creates several mask maps. For example, it separately marks steep slopes, flat plains, high altitude areas, etc. These masks are so-called splat maps or material distribution maps. Based on them, the next node, set maps, applies colors taken from real satellite data. But for now, these colors are just an example of how the terrain might look after applying materials in Unreal Engine. And speaking of Unreal, let's talk about export. Technically, you can set any node to export by pressing F3, but I like using the export node. Since we'll be using the map in UE, let's change the preset to match it. So here we click on Unreal. Finally, let's change the quality to 4K. Set the export format to R16, meaning raw file in 16 bits, and specify we want a height map. Choose your folder and save. Click Build. This will take a few minutes, depending on your resolution and hardware. Go make yourself a coffee. Or do 10 squats. Alright, so now fire up Unreal Engine. Landscape mode in the toolbar, then Manage, New, Import from File. Click Select Height Map and choose your height map. Math sometimes comes in handy here, but for now we won't get picky with details. Click Import and done. Remember, you can always change the scale of your landscape. Obviously, it's best to do this during terrain generation, but know that it's also an option. But now you can apply your landscape material and then add foliage, either manually or using PCG. But relax, we'll tackle that in the next episodes. So, why Gaea for automotive? Because automotive visualization demands premium quality. You can't have a $200,000 product shot with basic terrain. Gaea gives you Hollywood-level terrains for a fraction of the cost. If you do automotive visualization professionally, Gaea is an investment that pays for itself on the first project. And that's it. I hope I managed to guide you through the whole process of creating landscape in a clear and accessible way. If you enjoyed this tutorial, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm Karol Michalik, thanks for watching and see you next time.